What is up, my Squirtleites? It is I, your king, welcoming you to a video that I am not very eager to make, but I would like to give my opinion on this situation, as well as explain some of my actions over the past couple of weeks. And so now you're getting this video. Okay, first things first. Let's start by talking about the fact that my videos were getting age restricted a couple of weeks ago, which pertains to the title of the video. Now, that was not YouTube's doing. That was my doing. If you didn't notice, all my videos for about a week were age restricted, including even the Pokemon ones. And again, that was my doing, and that was simply a test just in case the worst case scenario possible somehow comes to pass. I wanted to see if age restricting all of my videos keeps them from actually getting to all of my subscribers' feeds. And for the most part, it seemed pretty harmless, but I have since learned that age restricting does not just keep videos out of the subscriber feeds of people under the age of 18. It can actually keep it out of anybody's subscriber feeds as long as they don't have a certain setting changed to actually show age-restricted content. So, won't be age-restricting anything else in the future if I can help it, and I don't really think I'll need to in the future because I'm honestly not as worried about this whole situation as everybody else is. And what is that situation? Well, it is, of course, the whole COPPA ruling and how it pertains to YouTube and this memo that YouTube sent out, and it's kind of got everybody all freaked out, and a bunch of YouTubers are making a big deal out of the whole thing, like this could be the end of YouTube and blah, 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 blah. So I'm going to try to add a bit more of a level-headed opinion to the entire situation, and before I go into that, though, I want to make it perfectly clear that I am not the authority on this situation. You should not take what I'm saying in this video as gospel. I have no legal background. I have no formal education in law, aside from like a law enforcement class I took in high school as a junior, but that's really it. I mean, nothing I'm saying in this video should be taken as 100% fact. This is an opinion that I have formed entirely based on anecdotal evidence from a couple of hours of research. But I want to explain why I am not freaking out when I'm seeing so many people saying that they're going to have to ditch YouTube entirely over this entire thing, and I think that is blowing it way out of proportion. Okay, first of all, what is COPPA? What even is this law, and why is it such a bad thing, and why is the FTC to blame for all of our problems? They're not, by the way, spoilers. But why is COPPA this huge issue all of a sudden? Well, it's only a huge issue all of a sudden because of YouTube, not because of the law itself. COPPA's been around since 1998. It was actually created preemptively to deal with the rising craze at the time that was the internet. It was made by the FTC to protect children from insidious corporations who might prey on them and manipulate them. So, just as an example, if you can stick with me on this, if you've ever, at least if you're in America, if you've ever gone to any sort of educational websites on like a computer lab when you were in elementary school or perhaps middle school or junior high, if you ever went on any of those school-approved websites, even if that was a really long time ago, just bear with me, you might remember vaguely that none of the websites that you visited at that time had any advertisements on them, or at least third-party advertisements. They could have clickables that would take you to other pages on their own website and stuff like that, but they couldn't actually advertise other companies' products. Now, this is the case across basically the entire internet. The thing that really kind of sucks about the internet is the fact that no matter where you go, something or someone is trying to collect your data, unless, of course, you are using some sort of service that allows you to block said collection of data. All of these companies try to use this data, whether it's your browser history, whether it's your personal information, anything is stored on your account that you're using on said browser. All of those things are used to learn about who you are and therefore curate ads to target you specifically so that you might end up clicking on those ads more. This is what personalized ads are, tailored trends are, tailored anything on any social media site or any other website that has any sort of advertising on it is. But under COPPA, this is not allowed to be done on anybody under the age of, I believe, 13. I believe this is like some really weird law where it's actually under the age of 13, not under the age of 18 like every other law in the world. But as I said before, please don't take anything I say in this video as 100% fact. That's just my understanding of the law. Essentially, it's been around since 1998, and it's something that YouTube, as along with every other company on the internet, is supposed to abide by and really has always been supposed to abide by. But YouTube has been neglecting this law ever since its inception. And finally, after many, many complaints from concerned parents who saw that their kids were watching really messed up shit on YouTube, the FTC has decided to manually go in and revise the COPPA ruling ahead of schedule, because they usually only do it, I believe, once every 10 years. But they've gone in ahead ahead of schedule and re-updated it and found YouTube in violation of said law. And that is why YouTube is now being fined a really large amount to us, but not a really huge amount to them. So that's why COPPA is a thing now. It is not because this law is a new law, it is because of YouTube's neglect of said law, and now that the law is suddenly being enforced on YouTube, YouTube is going, oh, well, we paid our fine, and now they're passing the buck on to us, the creators, as they do with everything else. Now, that being said, and I have to say the response to this is very understandable due to the fact that pretty much anything that YouTube has passed the buck to creators on in the past has resulted in widely negative changes that have really hurt a lot of channels across the website. And because everybody expects this to be standard YouTube fare, everyone thinks, oh no, this is the end of every channel that might have any sort of content that would appeal to children. And it doesn't help that the FTC's guidelines on what you need to do to ensure that your videos are not targeted to children are incredibly vague. But again, I'm going to try to be a little bit level-headed in my response to this entire thing. So there are 3 specific things in regards to this entire ruling that have been brought to the attention of creators that are making them freak out this hard that I want to talk about in detail and make you understand why it's actually not as big of a deal as you think. The first of those is that really vague guideline that the FTC has given creators to ensure that they do not violate COPPA. And they listed off a bunch of things that might, quote unquote, appeal to children. And some of those things were just stupidly vague, like anything with animation in it or games or, you know, just really simple things like that. Oh, like, oh, if it has bright colors, it might appeal to children. And people are really freaking out because a lot of the things that they listed in that guideline pretty much pertains to like 75% of YouTube. Like gaming and animation alone are huge. That's a massive percentage of all of the channels that are out on YouTube that could be violating that instantly based on what's said in those guidelines. Now, I do agree that this entire set of guidelines needs to be worded better and much more specifically so that it's not freaking everybody out and thinking that every single gaming channel on all of YouTube is violating COPPA. But let's move past that for a second and talk about the other 2 things. The other 2 things are this really massive 5-digit number. I want to say it was $43,000 that the FTC has stated they will fine you if you're in violation of COPPA. In fact, even YouTube stated this amount, saying that this is an incredibly large number that would likely bankrupt most creators, and therefore it is something to be afraid of. Except they didn't say that. If you read the YouTube memo, they didn't actually give a specific amount. They just said it would be a lot. The only place that I've actually seen this number has been in reports from actual YouTubers, as well as a couple of articles online. I think most of them go back to, is it The Verge or something like that? I don't know. I have not seen this from any official sources, and even if you go to the actual COPPA ruling itself, the amount is much lower. It's still very high, but it's much lower than 43,000 or whatever it was. Also, if I remember correctly, the amount also says up to this amount. It doesn't say you're going to be fined this set amount. It says you're going to be fined up to this amount. See, the thing is when the law comes into play and people are actually suing you for a certain amount, that's when actual humans have to come in and review it. You're not dealing with YouTube's algorithm anymore. You're not dealing with bots who have to make these decisions. I know, as crazy as that sounds, you know, for those of us who have to deal with YouTube's crap all the time, once you reach litigation, human oversight is 100% there. It's not necessarily the human oversight you always want, but it is still human oversight. And the thing is unless you are being especially egregious about this, you're probably not going to get fined the full amount. Heck, you're probably not even going to get fined close to the full amount. But honestly, I really don't think you're going to get fined at all. Now, the third thing that has a lot of people freaking out has been this whole, is my video made for kids setting that is now on YouTube. And this is one of the reasons people are freaking out a lot, is because they're expecting these YouTube algorithms to screw them over if they mark their videos incorrectly. Because here's the thing about this, and this is why it's kind of stupid and a lot of people are really scared, and it makes sense, is because now on every single video you are required to mark if your video is for kids or not for kids. But you're not safe either way, no matter what you select, if you violate COPPA, and here's why. If you say your video is for kids, just so that, oh, I don't want to get in trouble from COPPA, you will lose 90% of your revenue. They aren't allowed to show any advertisements on it, comments are disabled, all of these things that are just going to cripple your videos are put into place. And on top of that, if it is marked as for kids and then is found to actually not be suitable for children, that's when you're going to get fined. On the flip side, if you then go, well, crap, I don't want to deal with any of that, so I'm going to mark my video as not for kids, you're still not safe, because if for some reason they go in and they find that it is actually a video made and targeting kids, and you are found in violation of COPPA again, you'll still get fined. And obviously, this double-edged sword here is why people are freaking out. They feel like there is no escape from this entire thing. They feel like they aren't safe, except for the fact that people haven't realized and read through the fact that it is not YouTube who decides whether you are in violation of COPPA. They are not the FTC. The FTC decides whether or not you are in violation of COPPA. So, again, there's human oversight there. Once the fine comes in, people are going to be manually reviewing your case and deciding whether or not you are in violation. And I can promise you that if you are just some normal, random YouTuber with very little influence, or even just a moderate amount of influence, you are 100% safe. You're going to be fine. I guarantee it. No one is going to want to come after you if you have a very small reach on YouTube. Even if you have a somewhat moderate reach, like I said, a couple 100,000 subscribers, you're probably going to be okay. No, it's the big channels, the people that are out there specifically targeting kids to artificially inflate their numbers, the Jake Pauls of the world, that are going to get in huge trouble over this entire thing if they continue to do the stuff that they're doing. Because the thing about the FTC is they're not some multi-mega billion-dollar corporation like Disney, Amazon, or Apple that can afford to throw lawyers at you without breaking a sweat over the tiniest of infractions. The FTC doesn't actually have a whole lot of money to throw around. Yes, they are federally backed, but I doubt the federal government is going to want to go after every single one of the 23 million channels on YouTube who mess up. In fact, if I was a betting man, I would say that the highest number of channels that they'd want to go after would stay somewhere in the double digits. And even then, I think that's stretching it. I'd be willing to bet that they're going to make an example out of a few channels at best, some really big ones, again, if they continue to violate COPPA once this ruling goes into effect. And then after that, they're probably not going to be suing anybody anymore. They're just going to kind of leave it alone unless the problem starts to ramp up again and they start to receive more complaints. You're going to have to be pretty darn deliberate and malicious in your intentions if the FTC is going to want to go after you. I'm talking specifically tricking children into clicking on your videos that are wildly inappropriate. Like, I'm looking at, I think the big controversy was the one with like a pregnant Elsa and a Spider-Man or whatever, and they made it onto YouTube Kids somehow, and those videos are like horribly inappropriate, and like those sorts of videos are what COPPA is going to have an issue with. 99% of YouTube, at least mainline YouTube, you know, outside of the YouTube Kids sector, is not for kids, and I think everybody can agree on that fact. We all kind of know that already. In fact, the fact that YouTube even ever crept into the children's territory is just kind of sickening to me to begin with. YouTube was always meant to be a mainstream video enterprise that was supposed to be for people only over the age of 18, pretty much from the get-go. In fact, if I remember correctly, those stipulations for signing up onto the website and getting an account years ago was that you had to be 18 or older. It's not because YouTube actually had not safe for work content on it, or was supposed to. I know some slipped by, but it's because YouTube, at least at the beginning, was not stupid enough nor greedy enough to go after children. But apparently YouTube's greed has gotten the best of them, and now they have decided that going after children is worth getting fined some 9-figure sum. And honestly, it probably is, considering how much money YouTube makes on a daily basis. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if they only lost a single day's earnings on that fine, give or take a couple $1 million. Honestly, I'm not too worried about this thing. I'm not too worried about anything that is being handled by an external service, period. I am much more concerned with the things that YouTube does of its own volition, with its internal problems and changes that it has decided to make and almost always solve with some stupid algorithm. I think the fact that YouTube is age restricting any video that has a cuss word within the first minute is much, much worse and is much more harmful to creators' content, and is something that a lot more people should be fighting and a lot more people should be concerned about. It honestly never should have gotten to this situation in the first place. YouTube never should have opened the floodgates for people under the 18 to get access to YouTube. It was never a good idea from the start, and now they've kind of dug their own grave, except as is usual, instead of YouTube jumping into it, they have decided to push all of us in there instead. So that's it. That's my opinion on this whole thing. Again, please don't take anything that I am saying in this video as fact. That is just, again, formed off of anecdotal evidence after a couple hours of research on my part. And like I said, I don't think I should be age restricting anything of my own volition in the future. And that is going to be it for this video. Thank you all so very much for watching, and I will see you all in the next one.